Hello, my name is Anna Talei Fisher, and my my medium of choice at the moment, I'm very flexible because I also like painting and clay, but I love doing these tapestries. It's given me such joy, and I think what I like about the tapestries as well is it gives me a little quiet place to go to recharge my batteries and to think things out. So it has two wonderful things that this form of art does. And probably ought to mention that I live in Ohio now, but I was actually born in Fiji. My father worked for the British government, so we lived in Fiji until I was 3.5, and then my mother and I went back to England to live, and my father went to Africa for a year, and then we all my parents bought a house in Suffolk, and I lived there after I was married. We had 2 years in England, and then we came back to Ohio to live. So that's why certain things are a little bit differently said by me. Extremely eccentric. So this one was like, I found it when I'd done this tapestry here. Most of it is to do with color next to another color and line. So although they don't look like it, this is actually a hill here with one in the distance. This is the sky. There's a river running through. There's the different colors here in the foreground, the bright greens. And this one, the one on the back, is a tree, because that was an afterthought too. Because I thought, oh, all that color, there's so much color, I have to kind of quieten it down. So I embroidered the tree on top, and then I've started doing, because I always collect little stones and shells and things from places I go to, and the smaller ones the better, because I feel, because I like working in clay, so the stones are a tactile thing, and I like touching them, and I like feeling them and seeing what they make me want to create. So those are, I added those to this one, and this little tiny one here. One is on a little, this is a board, that's an actual canvas that it's on top of. This is a very thick piece of compressed, it's crescent board, but it's really thick. It's not crescent board, but anyway, it's a thick piece of board. This one also has a thick piece, because I think technically they shouldn't be actually under glass, because they should be out. That's the whole thing about tapestries, they need to be out in the air. But transportation issues with something like this, where you've got all these beads hanging around, is much safer behind the glass. And this one, I just bubble wrap to the nth degree to keep it safe. Because it's just like anything. It's an art, it's a piece of me. They're my babies, they're very special. But this one I just strung this morning. So I used two different kinds. So this is blue and this is orange. I'm not using anything from Facebook where they did the 3 colors. It's not supposed to be like that. It just happened to be blue and orange, because I thought what I'm going to try and do is use this background thread, see if it'll play on the colors. Normally I use just a pale creamy kind of color, nondescript color, but I thought this would be something a little bit different. And all you do is usually I usually start with some not too strong colors, so I usually go with something, or I just wait and see what I feel like do it. So I'll take a piece like this, and This is a bigger loom, so I think I take the plastic needles because they can get through more. Okay, now you can start any way you want, but don't start on the ends because that just kind of, that makes them a little fragile on the end. I always go in the middle, and if you look, good thing I thought of that. Okay, I did this is where I'm beginning, and I just did 2 lines, or maybe it's 3 of the orange, just to keep these threads in place while I start. So I'm going to go pick a spot, and it's just under, over, under, over. And people might think it's boring. It's not. It's incredibly brain opening because you can think of all kinds of things while you're doing this, and your thoughts kind of grow into these. It's very therapeutic. It lets you get away from whatever's actually going on in the world or your world, and you can have a nice peace and quiet. You can have me. I like music when I'm doing it, but I don't like to have anything too much. Just the whole thing. See, what you do is you get it down as far as you can, and then because you want it to tap it down so it's as tight as it can be, except on the edges, because that's where you don't. If you make it too tight on the edges, it comes in a bit like a, if you were knitting or something, you did the same thing. Same thing happens. And if you can try, so I usually talk and do this. If you make a loop like a bow there, like that, and just tap it down, looks so pretty. Sometimes on the bigger ones that are like 2 feet, or I have what's called a cartoon. So I have the idea on a big piece of paper the same size as tapestry, so you can have it either hanging behind it as you work on it, or you can have it off to the side and see, because I've already figured out where I'm going to put the colors, so it kind of, that's another way to do it. But I have always been a very, I like to just let my mind go blank and the muse inside me just take over and see what happens. Usually it works out much better, because if you start overthinking and analyzing, it doesn't quite go as much. Same with any kind of art form. So there we go. When you make that turn, you want to make it extremely loose in there. I use my nails for a lot of things, but so that's how you would do it. This one hasn't been threaded, but